Hey guys, how's everything going? This is JSer. In this video, let's take a look at the difference between these three similar but not exactly same types, which is object literal, and object empty object literal, object small object, and this capitalized object in TypeScript. To be honest, I've never spent the time to truly understand that difference. For most of the time, I just use these small objects. I didn't know why, but somehow worked for me. But I think it's good to truly understand how we should differentiate them, right? So after this video, you and I, we all won't get confused about these three any longer. So let's start with this bigger object, which is the which is the capitalized one. So to truly understand this, we need to recall several stuff. The first one is in JavaScript there is an object constructor, right? Object constructor function, this function, and there's also some functions on it, which is like object assign, object create, and also for prototype it has this toString stuff. So yeah, this is the one. The second thing is that for TypeScript, if you want to type with something with object, it means that thing must be some instance of object, because it's a constructor function. We need to check if it is instance. And also in JavaScript, something is instance of some construct function means that the function's construct function's prototype is on the prototype chain of that object. If you're familiar with JavaScript, you know that almost every object has its prototype. So almost everything is an object. Maybe this is not true. If you change the definition of object, then everything should be an object. But here, I mean every object has object prototype. I put an almost here. We can ignore it for now. We'll come back here later. So let's take an example of the code. For example, we have an object, just a literal defined by this literal, and actually its prototype is actually object to prototype. So yeah, it's an object. For array, it has a prototype of arrays, and also the prototype of that prototype is object prototype. So it's an object. For map, again, along the prototype chain, object prototype chain is there. So these three all could be typed with this object, and this actually covers most of the stuff, everything, even your own instances of your own classes. One thing, okay, sorry, non-undefined means empty. We need to filter them out. So, and also for primitive values, why they could be typed as object is that when needed, they will be converted into an object intermediately. So for example, we have a variable set to a number. Actually, its prototype is actually object prototype. So it could be typed as an object because yeah, it's an instance of this object constructor. So you know now, object, it's basically literally means the object in JavaScript. So yeah, and it's very big. It covers a lot of things, but TypeScript officially doesn't recommend using it. I think it doesn't harm to using it, but there is a slight difference between the next type we'll talk about. You could see why we prefer this object literal here. So for object literal, for this one, we usually just create some plain objects in JavaScript with this notation, right? But here there's no properties, there's no values, so it just means something that has this structure. So it's from this syntax, we could see that it's a better notation of object, and actually it's almost the same as object. It's basically the same. If you open the playground and assign these two types, you can see there's no, oh sorry, and there may be some, yeah, you can see even I change it, there's no error. So TypeScript doesn't differentiate these two, but there's some slight difference. Is that because for object, it's explicitly require it to be an instance object. It means that this instance must have some method inherited from this object prototype, right? If we created some type 2 objects like this, for object, we define a toString, and TypeScript will complain because from his point of view, the toString of B must be a string, but you return nothing here, so he complains. But for here, it basically it says that this should be returned a string, but we can't return anything. TypeScript doesn't complain. I think there's some issue here. We should improve it, right? For this kind of notation, we better like say you can just type everything. Why this is different, I don't know, but here's my guess. Because remember I said almost everything object has this object prototype, but it's not true. But okay, almost. Why I mentioned almost is that we actually could create some object without this object prototype by two ways. The first one is we could just create an object with this prototype set to null, right? And this object doesn't have this toString because it's not on its prototype chain. You see, there's no prototype. Another thing we could use object set prototype of. It explicitly change the prototype of this of an object. So there are objects. They are objects, but they don't have this object prototype along its prototype chain. So theoretically, from my understanding, is that this type is wider than object, because this is real object. This is kind of object with this object prototype, right? But there are objects without this object prototype. Nevertheless, that even I say so, TypeScript doesn't tell the difference, doesn't differentiate these two. So, but I think that's the reason why this one, object literal, is preferred. Even though TypeScript doesn't tell difference, it's preferred. So yeah. There's another one, a small object. This one literally means that the how should I put it? The narrow meaning of object. So it will be anything that is not primitive values, like not number, not string, not boolean, not begin stuff. So that's it. That's all for this video. I hope it helped. So let's do a quick summary. For all objects, we usually means use object because it's what excludes the primitive values. For non-null values, non-null means non-undefined as well. So use this. So don't use this object. Use this object or use this one. So hope it helps. See you next time. Bye bye.